I don't want to get my insurance license. It's going to be pretty expensive. I've heard that before. All right. So in this video, we're going to break down some hidden costs and ongoing costs of getting an insurance license and what it really takes to run a business in insurance. My name is Luis. We've been getting people licensed in this area for over 10 years, and we can give you really good insight here. So pay attention. I think it's going to be very helpful. All right. So this has been my experience when it comes to, let's first talk about hidden upfront costs. There's a lot of I guess misdirection or just ambiguity when it comes to getting an insurance license. You don't know what the costs are. Every time you cross a different step, there's another cost. So I think this will give you a really good idea. Again, it's going to vary by state, but its general rule is this is what you'll see. So number one, obviously, you're going to pay for a exam material and course. The exam material and course that's it's going to vary by the provider. It's going to range from anywhere from $100 to $300 or $400. My recommendation, and this might change based on the person and individual study time, but most people don't need the premium services of a pre-licensing course. As long as you can read through every chapter and take some practice exams, that's everything you need. I would say in this area, it's going to cost anywhere from $100 to $150. That's what the cost of licensing is going to be. Sorry, pre-licensing. Sorry. Remember, there are states that don't require any pre-licensing in classroom, and so there's exams where you can. There's states where you can just go take the exam, and as long as you pass the exam, you're good. You don't need pre-licensing. That might mean if you're on a tight budget, you might find some online materials to study and just give it a try. That could be an additional cost if you fail the exam, but it is something to think about. Then you're going to look at exam fees. The exam will cost you $40 to $100 depending on the state you're testing in, and this is assuming you take it once. My prayer is that you take it once and you pass it on the first go. But if there's a retake, that's going to be another $40 to $100 invested. So you're already in just with pre-licensing and course material at about a $200 to $300 again varied by state. Then you're gonna have to factor in fingerprinting and background checks. So that's gonna be $30 to $60 per person. It again varies by state, but it varies where you get your fingerprints. So you might, pay 20 or $30 for fingerprints here, and the background check with the state is another $20 or $30. That's just inherent cost. The state, it baffles my mind why the state doesn't already know the background check of the people that are charged in their own state. I would assume that they wouldn't need to go through that expense, but it's just the way it works. So you're looking at another $20 or $30. Another cost that's kind of upfront and people don't think about is registering with NIPR, with like the state, with the agency that just handles all the insurance licenses. That's typically not very expensive. It's $5 to $10, but it is it is a cost that's associated. The other thing to think about is this is just for one license, maybe the life insurance license. What if I get my life insurance and health insurance, and I can use the same background check for both, but I can't, I can't use the same course for both. So you have to factor those things into it. Multiple licensing may increase the cost, or probably will increase the cost of getting licensed. Then those are pretty much the upfront. Now there are some optional upfront costs. Like I do recommend a cram course. There's a lot of companies that do a cram course, and this is something you do maybe 3 or 4 days before the exam, where you kind of cram the entire course material in one day as a way to study for the exam. I think these are super helpful, and they cost money, but they nearly guarantee a pass. And so, in my opinion, that's going to be a great option. But it is optional. If you're good at studying, you don't need that. You can skip it. Now, there's cost beyond the passing of the exam, like sending the application to the state. That a state application fee has a state application has a fee. Sorry, and that's probably going to be $60 to $70. Again, varied by state. Then beyond that, you're looking at, and now that you're working in insurance, continuing education every year to 2 years is pretty much a standard. There are companies like we offer our reps, they can get all their CEs their first year for about $15. And then there's some companies you got to figure it out on your own. So that's fine. Figure it out. There's probably Most states would be about 20 hours per 2 year period. Um, and so it's just going to vary there. But it's something to look at. Uh, Continuing education and renewal, by the way. So the license has to be renewed. That's $70 every other year. To me, insurance is one of the lowest cost renewal licenses. I have other licenses that are six or seven to $1,500 a year to renew, and those can get pretty expensive. But the insurance license isn't on that list. You may be required to get errors and omissions insurance, and that's probably a couple $100 a year that you would invest in working in the field. So again, something to factor in. Every carrier that you appoint with in the world of insurance, an appointment means my license is appointed to a company. It's kind of linked to that company to where I can sell their products. Well, every time you do that with a different company, that has a cost associated to it. And so, if maybe you're a Florida resident and you work with XYZ Insurance, so it has an appointment fee, but you want to sell a policy in Idaho. Well, now you have to pay a non-resident license fee to Idaho. Pay if they allow it. I would assume they do. I've never been licensed in Idaho, but and then also another appointment fee in Idaho. So that increases the cost. Right. So all of these factors are something to look into. I would say $300 to $500 upfront to get started, unless you're working with a company that's paying majority of the cost. That's what you're going to look at. And then once you're in, you should factor in maybe $200 or $300 a year in just maintaining the license and making sure that you don't lose it. This is one of the biggest things I want to mention about this. Once somebody is licensed, there are states where missing a continuing education, no biggie. Just knock it out. You're back on board and you're good. But there are states like Texas where once a CE is late by just a day, then there's a fine. And the fine never, for example, in the state of Texas, never leaves you. So I've had people that say, "Hey, I want to work in insurance with you again." And it's been 5 years since they were licensed. Well, that fine is still on their profile and they have to pay it before they can work with us. So just, it's better to pay attention, do continuing education, or let go of the license. Call your state and say, "Hey, I'm not going to use the license anymore. I'd rather test again than have to pay a fine." So those are some factors to consider. Overall, very low cost of maintenance in my book. Probably again, two, three, maybe on the high end, $500 if you have multiple licenses. And so it's really not a high cost profession. And if you work with a company that covers a lot of those fees, it's even better. So hopefully it's helpful. Give you an idea of what the costs are going to look like, and encourage you to move forward and demystify the hidden costs.